So we'll go ahead and get started, I think. Megan, are we good? Are we live? All right. So we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you, everyone, for being here. This is a very big day for Megan because she has, as a lover of small animals, Megan was able to spend, I think, the last half an hour preparing for the press conference by building more, we'll call it social equity, with the young piglet that we will be presenting shortly. So first we'll just start off with that. I want to welcome our special guests, well, two really. First I'd like to welcome Eric from the Mental Health Association, and is it Francine? Francine is the name of the young pig. All right, well we definitely don't want to miss this getting on all the, is that KSN? On KSN as well, so we'll give you a second. But before we get to this, but again, Francis is a Hampshire piglet, or did you say Francis or Francine? Francine, excuse me, is a Hampshire piglet. And because of the pandemic, the Mental Health Association got a little creative with their fundraising. So I'm still going to wait for KSN here. So we're about to get right to it. She seems really excited. She's so happy to be here. Is that good? Just give me a thumbs up when you're ready. Cake even has a very sophisticated camera for this moment. This is going to be great. All right, we're good? All right. So again, sorry for the delay for those who are watching live on Facebook right now. Thank you for being here for our media briefing. We wanted to make sure we gave everyone an opportunity to get set up. But again, we are with the Mental Health Association. We are with Eric and Francine, who is a very sweet Hampshire piglet. So because of the pandemic, organizations have had to make changes in how they fundraise, and the Mental Health Association got very creative with their fundraising. And as community leaders, as electeds, a lot of times part of our job is to help with worthy causes when it comes to fundraising, or in this case, bringing home the bacon. And this was so far the most interesting way I've gotten to be a part of when it comes to fundraising. So Eric, would you like to tell us more about this fundraising challenge that I've accepted? Frankly, I thought you were joking at the first time, but eventually I guess I did accept it. And really what we're doing today.
I would. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So in the time that Mayor Whipple has been in office, he has, I think, very clearly demonstrated to all of us the importance that he places on public health and safety. And several months ago, as a result of that, or because of that, I suggested to him that with the economic strain of the pandemic, raising money for nonprofits like the Mental Health Association of South Central Kansas was getting more difficult, and asked him if I achieved a fundraising goal, if he would be willing to kiss a live piglet on television. MHA provides over 35 programs to 10,000 individuals throughout the South Central Kansas region each year, and so our operating budget obviously is substantial. The amount of money that we raised in the first 6 months of this year, $75,000, is very small in comparison to our overall budget needs. That said, most of our operating budget comes from grants, and last year we only raised $60,000 from our corporate partners, including Coke, Cargill, IMA, etc. So $75,000 in the first 6 months of the year seemed fairly ambitious, which may have been part of why he agreed to this. Nonetheless, I'm very pleased to announce today that we have indeed reached and exceeded that goal. So as a result of that, while again this is by no means the end of our fundraising duties for the year, and we certainly hope that with Mayor Whipple's support, those partners will continue to give generously, as well as households and individuals as well, that we will be able to continue offering the programs throughout South Central Kansas that we do. The other thing I want to say is that I want to make very clear what the symbolism of today is. The symbolism is not the pig. The symbolism is the kiss. The symbolism is that Mayor Whipple is stating clearly and unapologetically that we all need to be willing to step outside of our comfort zone a little bit. We need to be willing to talk openly and honestly about mental health issues, because when we're not, what happens is, while they impact all of us, none of us talk about them, and it just reinforces this erroneous stereotype that, well, I must be the only one, when in fact, nothing could be further from the truth. We're all living with them, but as long as we choose to keep those issues secret and not talk openly and honestly about them, it reinforces that stereotype. So Mayor Whipple is doing his part by stepping outside of his comfort zone today and kissing a live piglet. Our hope is certainly that all individuals and households and companies and small businesses throughout South Central Kansas will choose to follow his lead and step outside of their comfort zone a little bit and find creative ways of supporting MHA, just like the mayor has today. So with that said, if you'll give me just a short moment, I will grab Francine and we'll get this done.
All right. Do we have like music? Is there anything we're supposed to maybe serenade the sweet pig? She sounds excited. She's about excited as I am. And frankly, it seems like we eliminated the mask ordinance or policy maybe a little bit too soon, because normally I'd have a mask on kissing the pig, but all right. Francine, are you ready for this? All right, come here. All right, so you just want me to like kiss the pig?
Yeah.
All right. Oh, come here.
Oh,
Come here.
goodness.
All right, I'm gonna.
Oh, yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
Did you guys get that? Because I'm not sure if I should be doing that again.
You might have to do it again, Brandon. I'm not sure.
Everybody get it? No.
Thank you, Mr.
Oh,
Mayor.
thank you. All right, that wasn't so bad. Francine, I think, will be reaching out to our HR department and likely filing a complaint. But you know, it's for a good cause. And again, we just want to thank the Mental Health Association of South Central Kansas. If you are someone who watches our What's Up Wichita show, where we promote really good things happening in Wichita, a few months back we had an episode with representation from the Mental Health Association to talk about mental health and how to get really some more information and help for yourself or for those who might need it, particularly during COVID. We saw a large spike in really concerns in mental health, and we just applaud the organizations that are here to help our neighbors. So again, to support mental health in our community, you really don't need to kiss a pig. Just go to mhask.org. That's mhask.org. Again, thank you, Eric. Thank you, Francine. I think this falls under, frankly, the other duties as assigned in my job description as mayor. So with that, we're going to get on to, we actually have quite a few things to cover. Next, we're going to talk about Kids Safety Clinic. So next Tuesday, July 22nd at 10 a.m., I would like to invite all the parents in our community with young children to join me at Fire Station 1 at 731 North Main to check and make sure your child's car seats are installed properly. Here to tell us more about the importance of these checks is Victoria Chandler from Ascension Via Christi, who is the coordinator of the Safe Kids, which is in partnership with our Wichita Fire Department. So, ma'am.
Thank you, Mayor. I really can't top that kiss with Francine. I do not. Not at this time. Thank you for having me here. My name is Victoria Chandler, Ascension Via Christi Injury Prevention Coordinator, and I also coordinate the Safe Kids of Wichita area. I'm going to throw out some statistics. So in the United States, car accidents are the #1 cause of death among children ages 4 through 12, and the #2 cause of death among children ages 1 through 4. These are the studies shown by the National Highway Traffic Safety and the American Academy of Pediatrics. So the best way to decrease these risks of injury and death for children is to properly install and use the appropriate car seat for your child. Correctly used child safety seats can reduce the risk of death by as much as 71%. That is amazingly high. More than half of the car seats are not used properly or installed correctly. So Ascension Via Christi Save Kids, Wichita has teamed up with the Wichita Fire Department to hold these car checks. So come in, get your car seat professionally checked by our national certified car seat technicians, and they are free. These car seat checks are done every second and fourth Thursdays of the month, and currently they're only by appointment only. We want to ensure that we have enough certified technicians, and during these appointments, we educate and help you install your car seats. We also provide information to the caregivers and to parents to take home and read, such as recalls. Safe Kids also assists families with car seats, booster seats, and based on certain criteria. It's for the low-income families, so we want to help them and hand out resources. And to schedule these appointments and see if you're eligible for assistance, please call 316-268-6760. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Victoria. Thank you for all you do in keeping our community safe and our children safe as well. So again, I invite everyone to come on out next week for that free adjustment and check on their child seats. So next, we're going to have an update, really from a incredible program that we've been able to launch this year. It will be our housing update. So with that, I'd like to invite the Housing and Community Service Director, Sally Stang, to give us just some information on the progress of the Wichita Emergency Rental Program that we were able to put in place at the beginning of the year and is helping so many folks who need it. So, Sally.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I'm Sally Stang, Director of Housing and Community Services. Really excited to be here today. It's been a couple of months. The last time I came to provide an update to the Wichita Emergency Rental Assistance Program, we had just crossed the $1 million mark. And I'm happy to say this morning we crossed the $5 million mark. So we did a little happy dance in the office this morning. That was a big target to hit. So we have received actually about 4,500 applications, but only about 4,200 families. So we received about 300 duplicate applications. To date, we are working on those first, just over 3,000 of those applications. So we have about 1,200 applications that are still on our waiting list. Staff has queued over 11,600 individual payments to landlords, utility companies for rent and utilities that can go back as far as April 1st of 2020 and can go forward as far as a total of 15 months. So this is a program that has just launched and gotten off the ground. We did receive just over $12 million. Of that, 10% for administration leaves us about $10,800,000 for rental and utility assistance. So we are almost at the halfway point. So we're very excited about that. The program requires we expend all of the funding by September 30th, 2022, but we absolutely expect we will have expended it all before the end of this year. So it is, I said the last time I was here, we were building the plane while we were flying it. You know, it was our intention to get applications open and start the money flowing as soon as possible. That's how we opened in February, and every week, we're continuously making changes to processes, forms, to try and streamline the process. So it has been an interesting but all-encompassing activity to try and get this money out to assist those in our community who are really, really needing it. And we're working collaboratively with the state, who has launched its own program for all other areas in Kansas. And we do recognize that the eviction moratorium deadline expiration is coming once again. I would not have guessed that it was going to be extended from June 30th to July 31st, so I'm not going to guess whether or not it's going to get extended again. So we continue to act as if it will expire on July 31st and are rallying the troops to try and get as many households covered with assistance that we can in that time, and to work collaboratively with the state. So I stand for any questions you may have about the program.
Is this really a race against time? Because we're still getting calls for people who can't get assistance from the state, and now they're applying for rental assistance with the city. What do you tell these people who are on the verge of getting evicted, who can't pay their utility bills?
Sure. We try and work closely with both the residents and the landlords and get them to understand, please hold on, because under our program, so long as that tenancy still exists, we can make those payments. But once that tenancy expires, either gets evicted or the tenant were to leave, then the assistance is no longer there. So it's actually in both parties' best interest to hold on, try and continue to work with us, have some patience, because if they qualify, we can clear up those arrears and make payments going forward.
How
Yeah.
quick is this process, and how many people in the city are going to be going through these applications? Because as we've been reporting on KSN, the process with the state to try to get assistance has been a long and frustrating process.
It really depends on the application. Of all of the applications we've pulled so far, only 2 came in with all the required information. So there is a lot of back and forth with the applicants to supply the full copy of the lease, not just the first page. The full documentation of their income, whether that be their 2020 taxes or the last 60 days of income. We've also had challenges in obtaining documents even from landlords. Getting them to submit the landlord certification or the vendor forms so that we can issue payments. There can be hiccups along the way, but in cases where the landlord's already established, the resident puts in their application with all of the documentation, it's a pretty quick process once we get to their application.
Is that going to be a barrier for some not getting assistance if the landlords are not cooperating with the city?
It can, but we have policies in place that will allow us to make payments directly to the tenant if the landlord is unwilling to accept payment from the city.
You've got about 4,500 applicants right now. How many more are you expecting?
We are receiving an average of 12 to 14 applications a day. So, and sometimes that's applicants that are reapplying because they came through through the application process and did not submit their documentation on time and were withdrawn for that, and then are reapplying to the program. Yeah.
Do you think a lot of people simply don't know about this program, and that's why the city's talking about it today?
I'm sure we have pockets in areas that people don't know about this program. And that's why it's important that we reach out through our district offices, through our neighborhood resource centers to try and get into, the areas of the community that may not know that this program exists, for sure.
And how do some people apply if, let's say, they don't have a place to go and their electricity, utilities, other things have been shut down?
So people can go to any of the neighborhood resource centers, and there's people on staff that can sit them at a public use computer and assist them in applying online, definitely. The application process can be done on a cell phone. Even the upload of documents, just simply taking a picture of the document, and it will upload into the system. So we're finding most people find a way to get to our resources. We also have an agreement with the Workforce Alliance, and they have a dedicated staff person that will assist people in completing their application and making sure they have all their documents.
You mentioned something about 1,200 people on a waiting list right now.
Correct.
What's usually the timetable of whether they're going to get a yes or no on this assistance?
It really, again, depends on how thorough the documentation they submitted. So I've seen them as quick as a week, and I've seen them as long as 3 months. And honestly, we did stop and say we can't give people 3 months anymore because it's holding us up from getting to the next one. So people, we've tightened up the timelines that people have to submit their documentation. We ask that they submit it within a week. Once we tell you you're missing something, please submit it within a week. Obviously, if there's a technology or a medical reason why they cannot, or an extenuating circumstance, we can extend that deadline. But 3 months is not acceptable.
You mentioned that the city has a deadline to spend all this money by September 30th of next year. Will there be enough money for anyone who wants to apply?
Well, there is a second round of funding. So Emergency Rental Assistance Round 2 came through ARPA. We haven't touched that funding yet. So the city is to receive an additional $9 million under Round 2. That money we have actually until September 30th, 2025 to expend.
Do you guys have like a quota for, is there like a goal of like how many people you want to sign up?
We want to sign up as many people as possible. And like I said, the state got $188 million. So if we run out of money, the state actually has quite a bit of money that can come in behind us and provide additional funding.
What is the city hearing right now about these families who are desperate? Because as we've been talking about and we've been reporting, people are frustrated and they can't get through with the state.
It's definitely challenging. We again try to have patience where you can. There are bad players on both sides. There's bad landlords, there's bad tenants, and it's very, very challenging to ask someone to stay in a situation or keep a resident that is not necessarily playing by the rules. But there are so many people out there that are just waiting and needing the assistance. So we again ask that they work with us, there are other programs. The Center of Hope, Salvation Army has additional funding for eviction prevention. And then more recently, we were able to stand up the housing stability side of the program, which is where we have caseworkers that can work with families if they need to relocate because they're in a substandard housing situation or being harassed out of their units, that we can work with them to find other housing in another unit within the city.
Could potential landlords face any kind of repercussions if they decide to, kind of like obstruct anything, if they're not giving the city what it needs to help some of these families get help?
That would really be up to the judge in the eviction court. Obviously, the resident's going to have all of the documentation where they followed through, submitted their application, submitted everything that was required. But the fact that if the landlord's refusing payment from us, we can pay the resident and have the resident pay the landlord. That doesn't necessarily but sometimes the landlords are working that to try and push somebody out. So it's a challenging scenario for sure. Any other questions? Well, thank you very much. And we're always, if you have further questions, please feel free to reach out. Thank you, Mayor.
And again, we want to make sure that as many people who qualify for this as possible takes advantage of these resources. These are $5 million going to our neighbors in need right here in Wichita, so they don't have to go to families and ask for loans. So they don't have to run up high interest credit cards. So they can take care of their household as we all get back on our feet when it comes to recovering economically from COVID. So please go to our neighborhood centers, go to the Workforce Alliance. Please reach out to our housing department if you are someone who has been economically impacted by COVID over the last year, and hopefully if you qualify for these services, then we can help you out. So with that, we have the Library of Things is next, and I think Sean's here to see the pig, so we got an extra announcement from the library that might have been moved up for today's special day. So next I'd like to welcome Sean Jones with the Wichita Public Library to share an exciting update about the new offerings for kids and families at our local libraries. Sean.
Thank you, Mayor. So throughout the summer, the Wichita Public Library has held soft launches of several items that are part of our new Library of Things initiative. The Library of Things offers a variety of equipment customers can borrow for at-home use. In June, we launched radon detectors through a partnership with Pure State Services, LLC. These radon detectors let customers test radon levels in their homes or businesses. Radon is a colorless, odorless, and radioactive gas that can accumulate indoors over time and is the second leading cause of lung cancer. According to the EPA, Sedgwick County is considered to be a medium risk zone for radon. Earlier this week, this has been one of our most popular items so far. We launched our telescope program. So we have 10 Orion Starblast astronomical telescopes in circulation right now throughout the library system. And this telescope has been reviewed by a number of astronomical publications and is found to be a great resource for stargazing and learning about the solar system. When you borrow a telescope from the library, you are also given access to several digital and physical resources, including constellation maps and sky maps to make your stargazing experience a little bit better. And then the telescopes are provided by a gift from the Georgia Akins family through the Wichita Public Library Foundation. And then on Monday, July 19th, we will begin circulating wireless hotspots. Our goal is to help provide access to digital services both inside and outside of the libraries. And these free hotspots will provide internet access to customers who are unable to access the internet from home. Hotspots are provided through a donation in memory of Forrest C. and Francis H. Latner through the Wichita Public Library Foundation. And something that I always stress when I talk about the library is public libraries work to provide equitable access to information, resources, and services that promote lifelong learning for all ages. And we think that these three materials in the Library of Things really help with that. More information about Library of Things can be found at wichitalibrary.org/things. Thank you.
Please don't fall, Sean. Oh, thank you. Thanks, we got to maybe take care of that. All right, so last thing we'll talk about is just our neighborhood night out. It's something we mentioned last time. But finally, just a final reminder, neighborhood night out is just around the corner on August 10th. It's a great way to bring neighbors together, which is needed, frankly, now more than ever. Materials to help neighborhoods plan their event and register are available at wichita.gov/NNO or call 268-4165 with questions. Again, by reaching out to us, it allows us to not only provide those resources, but sometimes even close down a street if needed, or ensure that we can have neighborhood night out as safely as possible. So please reach out. Again, we want to have a really good show of support in the community for neighborhood night out this year, because last year, obviously, we couldn't do it because of COVID. So with that, I will take any questions, any and all questions. Yes, sir.
How did it feel to kiss a pig?
How did it feel to kiss a pig? You know, that's a good question, actually. That was probably one of the weirdest things I've done as mayor. And frankly, my last year and a half of being mayor has been, weird isn't the right way to describe it, but definitely unorthodox. So kissing a pig, it felt, the pig's nose was warm, which for some reason I thought it was going to be more like a dog's nose. So yeah, that's my takeaway is the pig was a much better kisser, I guess, than I imagined. And more importantly, we're bringing attention to an incredible nonprofit and frankly, an incredible need in our community right now. When we talk about mental health, particularly during COVID, where people we saw an increase in challenges when it came to mental health, matching what I think a lot of us are seeing on with our own friends and family on social media, with information about resources, I think is really important. Because I think a lot of us, we might hear about mental health and people who are struggling, but we might not hear so much about the resources that are out there. So if I get to kiss a pig to bring more attention to the MHASCK.org, to the Mental Health Association of Sedgwick County, that's worth it to me. So hopefully people will click because I'm kissing a pig, but they will hang around for the .org information that could help them out or a loved one.
I was wondering what was going to happen between now and October when the non-discrimination ordinance comes back, because we've heard earlier this week from some on city council things the city needs more time to try to tweak this ordinance, but you feel differently about it. So what is going to happen?
Yeah, I have no idea what's going to happen, to be honest. I went into that meeting thinking we would pass it. Not one member had a policy issue with it. I think might be some politics at play, but there is an opportunity here. And I also have made it clear by my concern with the idea of saying we need to work on something without actually having a problem with that. Like so far, like there's a difference between politics and policy. Policy actually points to problems and looks to solve problems. Politics does other things. So between now and then, it is actually an opportunity for our Diversity, Inclusion, and Civil Rights Council, if they want to give more opinions on what we can be doing, that is an opportunity. I will say this was vetted by the National Human Rights Campaign. It was vetted by the state level Equality Kansas. We already brought in the best to look at this policy when it comes to folks who actually do NDOs, non-discriminatory ordinances, and we've gotten nothing but support from folks who actually work in this space.
So that politics is coming into play here. Is someone standing in the way? Is it an organization, or is someone influencing someone on city council, which is preventing the city from taking the next step in this?
Yeah, I think that politics come into play when there's not a reason to stop progress. And I think that unless you say, hey, I have a concern with this part of the policy or that part, I guess stalling just for the sake of stalling to me feels like politics, because I spent 7 years in Topeka, and if you wanted to kill something, you delay it. And I'm blunt and I apologize, like I want to work with everyone, but the reality is people came in here in 2010, asked for a non-discrimination ordinance. The city said, hey, we're going to go workshop it, we're going to go do a study, we're going to do this and that, and it died. 2008, the exact same thing happened. So I'm just basing my observation on my decade in politics, watching how things get shuffled under the rug, and frankly, on the last 2 times the city had these conversations, they delayed it to the point where it never came back. So hopefully I'm wrong. I would love to be wrong and to say, no, we're actually going to strengthen this and bring it back. But again, none of the people who voted to stop this so it can have more strength, pointed to a part that needs to be strengthened. And the people who also supported the motion were the people who said they want to do nothing, that they would vote no no matter what happens. So it's very interesting. But again, hold us accountable. I think that these questions shouldn't just be faced towards me. They should be faced towards, the folks who are interested in stopping the local enforcement of the civil rights of folks in our community who face discrimination. Anything else? By the way, I will answer any question. So, all right. Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.